Welcome to the CBSN Chicago special Money Insiders. I'm Lauren Victory.
And I'm Tim McNicholas. Normally we appear as the Morning Insiders on the CBS 2 News, but today we are the Money Insiders. We're going to be talking money.
And what better place to do that than inside the vault at the old post office. Vaults serve to protect people's money.
And that is our goal with this program. We've reported on several insurance issues. You are required to have auto insurance in Illinois if you drive.
But who's making sure these insurance companies pay out after a claim? I dug into 2 cases of no cash after a crash.
The accident wasn't the worst, the damage not terrible, but the claims process?
We just completely got the runaround. I'm gonna just give it to you point blank, dry, simple.
The driver at fault in the crash uses American Heartland Insurance. Anthony Hardin says taking his vehicle in for an estimate was the farthest he ever got with that company.
That was when the games began. Well, we're still waiting on the paperwork.
State data shows American Heartland has one of the worst complaint records in Illinois.
There is a non-standard auto insurance market that insures drivers that have less than perfect driving records.
Janet Patrick is from the Illinois Insurance Hotline that's sponsored by the insurance industry. She explains those non-standard companies, like American Heartland, tend to be criticized more.
They insure people that are riskier drivers, so they probably have more accidents, and so they have more opportunity to have complaints filed against them.
Illinois cracked down on insurers a few years ago. Some companies had been denying claims for misrepresentation by its policyholders, even though the providers never vetted the driver before collecting premium money. A 2017 law makes that officially against code.
The department has been proactive in trying to address and resolve issues like that.
The Illinois Department of Insurance, that is. The state will conduct investigations into companies. If enough people complain, it's another check and balance on the industry. American Heartland's been examined twice and found compliant both times.
Woo! Lord, my heart dropped.
Hardin's reaction when he saw the company's F rating and 1-star reviews on the Better Business Bureau.
Case after case after case after case after case of my case, the same scenario.
He gave up waiting on his claim and got the car fixed through his own insurance company. Out his $500 deductible and now paying a higher premium. Tom Noonan isn't sure what sound is worse. The scraping of his battered Buick or the silence on his claim to fix it.
And you got to keep calling them and calling them and calling them. They don't answer.
Noonan's problems began at this Tinley Park intersection back in February. Police arrested a man for driving without a license who minutes before cut a left too closely.
Went right in front of me, and I smacked him right there, and I hit him on the passenger side rear.
Thankfully, no one was hurt. Noonan's car, the real casualty.
Bumper, you got to get the grill. I think this is just a big empty space where the light goes.
An estimated $3,000 of damage. The other driver's insurance provider, American Freedom Insurance Company, denied Noonan's claim.
Dear sir / madam.
Listen close to the reason for the denial.
Our insured has failed to provide the company with a written statement of facts. They can't get a hold of them, so on my own, I'll have to sue the guy that hit me.
The excuse that they're giving for not paying promptly is inappropriate.
An expert opinion from former Texas Insurance Commissioner Bob Hunter. He now works with the Consumer Federation of America.
They should be able to contact their own client. If they can't, then that's their problem, not the person who's waiting to be paid.
Multiple Better Business Bureau reviews of American Freedom Insurance detail the same problem. Dan H. writes, denied my claim because their insured would not answer the phone. Data from Illinois' Department of Insurance shows American Freedom Insurance Company has 9 times the amount of complaints for a business its size. It's a history that doesn't surprise Noonan. He's been waiting on repairs for almost 3 months.
Has this been like your trusty car for a long time?
Yes, this is going we go everywhere, this thing.
We waited days for American Freedom Insurance to review Noonan's claim. Someone from the company finally told CBS 2 they feel the denial was appropriate. We never heard back from American Heartland.
And it's not just auto insurance concerns we've heard about. A suburban woman was booted as a beneficiary on her ex-husband's life insurance plan due to a little-known state law. Now she's sharing her story to prevent headaches for others. Divorces can be rough, but Marie Slitter says hers was as smooth as can be.
No lawyers. We went and did it online because it was a friendly divorce.
So friendly, they didn't request any changes to their life insurance policy. But when he died earlier this year, State Farm told her she wouldn't get any benefit from her ex-husband, but she says she should get $80,000. How does all this make you feel?
It makes me aggravated because I've always been overly insured.
State Farm says they can't comment on specific cases, but they did direct us to a state law enacted in 2019, just after Slitter's divorce, that says benefits for ex-spouses are void once you're separated. We asked a divorce attorney who is not involved in the case about the law.
This law has been out there for a little bit of time. I'll be honest, there are still way too many people who don't know about it.
Brendan Hammer says due to that law, anyone who wants their ex-spouse to stay a beneficiary should make sure that's specified in their divorce document. But when Slitter divorced, it wasn't a law yet, and she says she didn't learn of it until recently.
They should be upfront about it and have a special letter just for that and send it out to their customer.
After we started asking questions, State Farm presented a possible solution. Now her adult kids, the next beneficiaries in line, are signing paperwork to get her benefits approved after a frustrating process. State Farm says in any case, they never keep the money from the plan. It would go to the other beneficiaries. If there are none, then the state would get the cash, so it is important to make sure your paperwork is in order.
That's always a good idea. So here's a stinky situation involving homeowners insurance. It started out as a plumbing nightmare.
Now a Long Grove family is suing their insurance company because they say they can't get straight answers about their repairs.
I thought that it was great.
The Clays thought they'd moved into their dream home.
It was spacious enough for my family and I.
But they say the seller never mentioned the septic problem that would rain on their parade a few months later.
Literally, raining crap.
They woke up in the middle of the night to find the toilets and showers overflowing into these vents, straight to the basement. So their home and personal belongings were hit with a load of you-know-what.
One of the areas was a laundry room, and it was literally crap in the washer. And it's not even our crap because we just moved here, so.
That was March 2020, but the repairs still aren't done. The family blames a dispute with state auto insurance.
I hate to use the word, but it was bubbling up.
The Clays showed us a document from State Auto putting the cash value of repairs and replacements at nearly $126,000. But the family says State Auto has only paid about $90,000, and even that was a struggle.
The only reason I got the money was because I attained an attorney, because no one would talk to us.
With that same attorney, they're suing State Auto, accusing them of breaking the contract by not covering about $20,000 in damaged personal belongings.
It literally was in the cabinets. It was in the stove.
The Clays say they also got the runaround from the company when they tried to get coverage on temporary housing. So they had to live, work, and e-learn out of that home.
I mean, it was everywhere.
Where you can still catch a whiff here and there of that hectic March morning. In their answer to the lawsuit, State Auto pushes back against many of the Clays' claims, and they say the family didn't provide enough documentation for the personal property claim. The company said they have no comment on this story. We'll be right back. Now let's turn to a topic that keeps Lauren and me very busy: scams.
Yeah, sadly, there are bad people out there, often overseas, who lie and deceive to try to rip us all off. But joining us now is William Cressy, perhaps better known as Professor Fraud. You teach about scams at Governors State University. What is the #1 ripoff right now?
Right now, I would say it would be the phishing scam. And these are where you get a message on the internet, in your email or whatever, that lead you into the scam. The scams in the past, the phishing scams in the past, were easy to detect. A lot of misspellings, bad language, poor grammar, but they've really gotten very sophisticated. I like to call them phishing 2.0 at this point. The FBI reported that last year, cyber scams in general were up 69% over the year before. Much of that due to COVID-19. People are at home, people are working on the computers, and our friends the fraudsters just love taking advantage of a disaster, and they're more than willing to take advantage of the pandemic. And these scams have gotten very good. They're hard to recognize, and you just have to be very careful.
And phishing is definitely a topic we hear about often from viewers. We have a couple of examples from the Chicago area. One woman realized it was a scam before she lost any money. The other, well, she's out thousands.
It scared me that I fell for it initially.
Brenda Clark knows a thing or two about money after spending 20 years in the banking industry. That includes the tricks that fraudsters use to scam you out of your hard-earned money. Then she got this email.
They got me with the fear of having money debited from my account.
The suspicious email warned she'd be charged $200 for a Norton Security software subscription.
It was an emotional grab.
With $200 at stake, she panicked, even though these scammers aren't good spellers. Check out valuable and an unusual email address supposedly coming from a major corporation. So she called the number on the email, and the supposed customer service representative directed her to this site.
It wanted me to download something. Well, now I'm getting suspicious.
Fortunately, Brenda realized downloading the software would give this alleged rep control of her computer.
Luckily, my alarm bells went off.
So she confronted this Norton imposter.
I said, "What is this, a scam?" And then he started getting belligerent with me.
She hung up on him, but that was not the end of it.
Then it started getting stranger and stranger. He called back again, called me names. I hung up on him. He called me back again, called me names. Then he hung up and didn't call back.
I wanted to speak with the scammer, so I called the same number Brenda used. This is Norton, huh? You're sure that you work for Norton Antivirus? I don't think Norton Antivirus would hang up on you in the middle of a phone call. 1, these guys keep hanging up on me. 2, terrible connection at Norton Antivirus. 3 strikes at trying to get straight answers. Back to Brenda, the good news is her money is safe.
I just was so grateful that I caught myself.
Now she's warning others, so no one loses a dime to these con artists.
There's 8 Target cards.
Joanne Willard has a stack of gift cards, but nothing to celebrate.
Today I feel stupid for doing it, but I went right along with it.
Last month, she got an email from what appeared to be Amazon saying there was fraud on her account. She called the number in the email and they said they'd connect her with her bank. The supposed banker convinced her she'd lost thousands, and to get it back, she'd have to buy multiple gift cards. So she did that. $6,000 worth at 2 different Jewel Oscos in Elmhurst.
At first I thought it sounded funny because I had heard about the scams and stuff. But once again, I kept looking at my phone and I kept saying it was the bank.
Joanne and her daughter Jackie believe the scammers spoofed her bank's number, which was saved in her phone as TCF Bank. What Jackie can't figure out is why the real TCF didn't flag the unusual purchase from her debit card.
If she goes to Jewel Osco and spends $3,000 on one side of town and then goes to the other side of the town and spends another $3,000, TCF Bank should have stopped the second $3,000 without a question.
Jewel Osco posts signs near their gift cards warning people about gift card scams, saying you should never give away card numbers to someone over the phone.
It was my fault.
A lesson Joanne now knows all too well. Jewel says it takes these crimes very seriously, with signs at the checkout to warn customers and training for cashiers to help spot a scam in progress. TCF, too, acknowledged this is a big problem and explained why these purchases didn't raise any flags. The customer used a chip card, knew the PIN, and was a regular shopper of the store.
Thanks, Tim. Well, Professor Fraud, so much business now is conducted by email. How can you tell if a message you get is legit or fake so you don't fall for one of these schemes?
Well, I think first you have to start out with the right frame of mind, which is there are bad guys out there trying to rip you off. And whenever you get one of these messages, you might panic, but don't. But be wary. They might be a ripoff. So first thing you want to do is look at the message itself. As we saw from the first story, there can still be misspellings, bad grammar. That's a red flag. But then what are they asking you for? No legitimate bank or credit card company is going to ask for personal identifying information. They're not going to ask for social security numbers. They're not going to ask for your credit card numbers or a bank account number. And just, again, you have to listen to that small voice in the back of your head. If it says this might be a scam, it probably is. So contact the company, the bank, directly and see if this is a problem. There's a phone number printed on the back of your credit card and on your bank statements. Call that number. Don't call the number in the email. Don't click on the link in the email, because phone numbers and email addresses can be spoofed. So go directly using a source that you know, the number on the back of the credit card, the number on the bank statement.
You know, another scam we've been reporting on for months, people posing as landlords, trying to trick potential renters into paying bogus fees before ever seeing a home.
It seems quiet.
Kenya Miller thought she'd found her new home here in South Holland, but she thought wrong.
Now I'm knocked back down to ground zero. Now I'm kind of traumatized because I don't know who to believe on the web. You know what I'm saying?
Miller first inquired about a house in Lansing listed on GoSection8.com. A supposed landlord got back to her quickly and instead suggested this home in South Holland and shared pictures of an Apartments.com listing. Then they asked her for a $500 holding fee and even sent over their Zelle info.
A lot of people have lost their jobs and everything, so income is, scarce anyway. So for you to go on a website where people are set to pay low income or have a housing voucher, I just think that that's downright dirty.
They told Miller, "I will never hurt anyone. You can email them to confirm my house." So we did email GoSection8.com, and they said it was a scam that they've removed from their site. Turns out a man named Carl Washington is still living in the house and didn't know about the scam until we told him.
That's somewhat scary, actually. I mean, you have no idea that something like this is going on, but yet it is.
He says the photos must have come from an old listing, and he's glad Miller didn't fall for it. But she may have been the lucky one. Washington's neighbor across the street said another woman approached him a few days ago asking about the property.
She had put $100 down, and she was a little worried that it might be a scam.
We wanted a word with this wannabe landlord, so we called the number that texted Miller, but they didn't pick up.
It was a huge letdown.
Now Miller's taking her story to the police. So how can you be sure that potential new home you're checking out is the real deal? Professor Fraud, you're the man to ask about this. What are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, as I said, you have to have the right mindset. Be wary. So when you see that listing, check it out. Do your homework. One of the great tools available to all of us on the internet is Google image searches. So often in these scams, they're using stock images that the bad guys have picked up somewhere else on the internet. Take that image, drop it into a Google image search, and then you might find out that, hey, that house is for sale, or that house was sold a month ago, and they're trying to rip you off. That same technique can be used for various scams, including dating scams. So check that out. You can go to the county treasurer's website, look up the address of that, and you'll find the name of the owner. You might want to contact the owner themselves to see if their property is up for rent. I have heard cases in real estate where people in this hot real estate market have purchased property without ever seeing it, up close. So you really have to do your homework on this one, because most people, most of their wealth is tied up in real estate, and the fraudsters know this, and that's why they go after it.
All right, thanks, Professor Fraud. We'll be right back. Switching gears now, duped or dumb? An online truck sale did not go how an Illinois man expected. He admits his purchase was too good to be true, yet he sunk $19,000 of his life savings into it anyway. Now he's sharing his message with other internet buyers.
Everybody has a dream, right?
And Luis Garcia's is owning his own towing business. You brake, I tow. The I's were dotted and T's crossed with the state of Florida. Final steps, get the equipment and make the move from Illinois. So Garcia searched Copart, a massive online auto auction company. This beauty popped up through a broker called A Better Bid.
Everybody says, you know, if it's too good to be true, don't do it. But it is an auction, you know, and it goes by pretty fast. So you really have moments to think about it and to, you know, go with your heart.
Well, his heart was broken when he traveled from Forest Park to the truck yard in Louisville, Kentucky.
And I was ready to roll. But unfortunately, the truck was not in condition to even put on the road.
He had to call another tow truck to haul his new purchase away to avoid storage fees. Underneath was rotted through.
To fix that truck correctly, it'll cost over $12,000 to $15,000.
Copart customers can inspect vehicles before purchasing, but Garcia didn't think that was necessary, pointing to the ad. He says undercarriage issues weren't pictured, but they were noted as secondary damage. Primary damage said minor dents and scratches. His calls for a refund didn't go well.
They put me on hold, and after 20-30 minutes, they just click.
The wheels were in motion once we got involved. Copart agreed to give Garcia a refund, even expressing gratitude for CBS 2's role in making that happen. We care about our buyer's experience, was Copart's explanation in another email.
What's the bigger lesson here for anybody that watches this story?
Hey, you know, be careful what you buy online.
We caught up with Garcia after his $19,000 headache was over.
Now I'm on my way to my dream one more time. Thank you.
He's already found a new truck.
Copart disputes claims that the truck description was inaccurate. A spokesperson also said Garcia wasn't technically a Copart customer, but a customer of the broker, A Better Bid. That company did not answer any of our questions about this transaction.
And now to a consumer warning about buying concert tickets, especially during these uncertain times. Lots of shows are having date changes due to the pandemic.
So what if the new time doesn't work out for you? Perhaps a lot of hassles, as a Northwest Indiana man learned the hard way.
Garth Brooks often sells out concerts, just like this one at the historic Notre Dame Stadium. So it's not a surprise a 2021 show in Cincinnati set a ticket-selling record for that city.
I'm a big Garth Brooks fan.
And Bob Meyer from Hobart was excited to be there. He paid SeatGeek $371 for 2 tickets back in December for a May concert. Then a change. The show got rescheduled to a September Saturday. Bob's a high school referee and can't make it.
I've been doing this for over 30 years, and I don't miss very many games.
So Bob reached out to SeatGeek on 4 separate occasions to request a refund. He spoke with Marion, Raymond, Alex, Adrian, and Mr. King, just to name a few. All told him the same thing.
They basically told me, no, I'm out of luck and quit bothering them.
The answer may just lie in the dictionary.
They're playing games with the wording. I say they canceled it. They say they postponed it. I feel they canceled it on the date that I could make it.
After CBS 2 got involved, a change of tune from SeatGeek. The situation was escalated and all of a sudden an offer of a full refund. And that's music to Bob's ears.
Credit card fraud, payment app scams, wire transfers gone wrong. You've likely heard about the different ways you can get conned out of your coin through these payment methods. But now there's a warning about a scam involving a new type of asset, Bitcoin.
You understand Bitcoin, right?
In case you don't, here's the lowdown. Bitcoin's a digital currency and transactions have no middleman, meaning no banks. And this virtual money has received increasing hype because its value has skyrocketed, making it an appealing asset for scammers.
I know that there have thieves out there.
Lindsay Walton has been investing in Bitcoin for over a year, enough time to make him think he'd never fall for fraud. Cue Cynthia Marshall. Her pitch? She can earn you $50K weekly by trading your Bitcoin.
Which look real good, you know?
Marshall reached out to Walton via Facebook Messenger. She convinced him whatever Bitcoin he invested would be safe because it would be kept in a password-protected account on her company's website, Auto Virtual Options.
The name to me sounded very legitimate.
Sleek, professional, chock full of testimonials.
The whole thing looked real.
That's why he felt comfortable transferring more than $7,000 worth of Bitcoin to the site. Marshall supposedly invested the money and presto, she made him 60 grand in less than a week. Too good to be true? Sure was.
And the money that they show you that you gain is just a trick.
When he asked to withdraw the $60K from the account, Marshall told him he would need to pay another $6,000 before he could transfer any funds. That's when the red flags went up. And when he refused to send more money, well, Marshall didn't take that too well.
So now I'm telling my family about what's going on, and they say, well, don't give them no more money. Don't give them no more money.
And after Walton refused to budge, Marshall called it quits. And with her disappearance, Walton's Bitcoin vanished too.
I was sick to my stomach.
Now he's warning others so they don't get conned out of their crypto. We reached out to Marshall and Auto Virtual Options. Radio silence.
Talk about a shocker. You open your checking and savings account and see nearly $250,000 gone. Poof, disappeared. That's what happened to a Chicago man who turned to us for help.
Open my bank account, boom, zero, nothing.
Meet Miles, a Chicago resident. He asked us to obscure his identity because he doesn't want the world to know he's got this much money. Well, at least he did.
Made no sense.
Miles went to this Chase Bank branch for answers after seeing one transaction take away $200,000, the other $36,000.
The bank manager at Chase was shocked. She goes, this is more than my condo.
Not only was he at a loss for money, but answers too.
Communication blackout from Chase. They wouldn't say anything. They blocked my accounts, so I had no access. It's been over 2 weeks of just not being able to sleep that well.
Things moved quickly after CBS 2 got involved.
And I think you helped because when I was in the branch yesterday, they knew I was talking to you.
The money, it turns out, was in a Chase investment account, one that Miles insists he did not open nor authorize. A Chase spokesperson tells us Miles appears to be a victim of identity theft.
My computer is very secure. I actually wipe the hard drive off every couple of weeks.
Miles can't figure out how scammers could have touched his money. It's all back where it belongs now, so the mystery remains how and why someone moved it in the first place. But Miles knows what he's doing in the future.
Spread it around.
Let's bring Professor Fraud back in now. What advice do you have for people with money in the bank, even a giant one like Chase?
Well, I think the best thing any consumer can do is keep an eye on your accounts. You should be going online and checking those balances and checking the transactions on your credit cards and your bank accounts at least once a week. The faster that the institution can be notified of a problem, the more likely you'll be able to recover your money. And I think one of the other lessons is spread the money out. Don't put all of your eggs in one basket. That way, if there is a problem, your losses are reduced a whole lot more. So spread your money out, but really be careful. Watch those accounts at least weekly.
Professor Fraud, thank you, sir. We'll be right back. A Southside couple says they paid thousands for credit repair, but the Chicago financial expert didn't fix anything. And we learned along the way, you don't need to cough up cash to help your credit.
So he told me he would charge me $1,000 for me and $1,000 for my husband.
$2,000 sent via Cash App to a financial planner who works on the South Side. Last summer, he even texted her, "Your credit is good and you're ready to roll." But when she checked her credit score, Paula Harris says it hadn't changed. Do you think you're ever going to get your money back?
I pray I do. I'm going to be hopeful for it.
She was also hopeful on February 23rd, when after months of asking, the man agreed to refund Paula within 30 days. But 30 days came and went, and all Paula got was more stress. She's a nurse who's treated several COVID patients over the past year, and now she's helping with vaccines.
You want something to go right. You want something to be going in your favor. It's a lot. It's stress. It's depression. It's, darkness. It's, where's the glimmer of hope at?
Paula says she trusted the financial planner because a friend recommended them.
Meet Wallet Hub.
But experts with Wallet Hub say you should never pay someone to fix your credit.
There is no quick fix for credit repair, right? It's kind of the same as a diet pill, right? You actually have to have a diet and kind of do the work to see results. The same goes for your credit.
There are a few things you could do on your own. You could request your credit reports from Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion to make sure there aren't any errors or discrepancies. If there are, you can dispute them with the agency. It's also important to stay up on your bills as much as possible to keep your score from sinking deeper.
We saw a lot of credit repair companies target people during and after the Great Recession We're seeing the same thing during and in this now time of, maybe post-pandemic.
Fortunately, Paula did get her money back, but again, the message is clear. You should never have to pay for credit repair. Any steps taken to improve your credit score, you can take yourself and for free.
Some homeowners from a Southside building reached out to us furious after voting to sell and agreeing to move within 90 days. After the sale closed, residents say they learned a quarter of the proceeds won't be coming their way for years, if at all. Here's a look inside the deal that has many saying they were duped.
Towering over Drexel Boulevard for more than 70 years, Tudor Gables is home to a lot of history, and these days, emotions.
You gotta go.
From choking up to squaring up. That's a board member and residents' tempers flaring.
It's deception. It's no transparency.
Titus Cousins shows us the price estimate shared with residents before they voted for or against selling their building.
They were explaining to us that, this was an opportunity for a lot of people to cash out.
The vote went through, then came the sale, then everyone's receipts.
I was really shocked when I opened that email to see that they were going to take 40% of the earnings.
Cousins expected 89 grand, but see this nearly $37,000 deduction? We're told it's part of a $3 million holdback from the $11.5 million sale for possible capital gains tax on the building.
We're really hurt by the board and they're not being transparent because they did not let us know any of this.
They can get what's left after taxes, but it might take 3 years because of an IRS statute of limitations.
Who's guaranteeing to be living in 3 years?
William House makes one point, then there's another problem.
We need the money now because we need to move.
Many residents already went under contract for new homes, but are left in a lurch with tens of thousands of dollars less than they expected.
Did you want to say a couple words?
We asked this board member and the board's lawyer for proof that owners were told about the tax holdback before they voted.
The attorney couldn't provide it, so I just didn't know if you knew where it is.
I don't have any comment. I've been in real estate 15 years. I've talked to 3 lawyers. No one has ever heard of this.
Hovering over Tudor Gables now, a possible lawsuit.
Paperwork we saw did indicate that price estimates for each unit were pre-tax, but the board's attorney readily admits the full amount of the holdback wasn't disclosed to residents until after the sale.
And another area where we see a lot of concerns, travel, specifically refund issues caused by canceled COVID trips.
We recently learned about a family vacation hit not once, not twice, but 3 times with bad luck.
While Floridians battened down the hatches, these Indiana Hoosiers were packing for a 10th wedding anniversary trip. Fingers crossed.
They weren't sure what the path of the hurricane was, so we would be out there with the hopes that the hurricane didn't come where we were.
Hurricane Dorian wound up blasting the Bahamas, exactly where the bride, groom, and their 15-person crew was headed on a Royal Caribbean cruise.
It was almost like a game of chicken. They were waiting on us to cancel so that we couldn't get our money back, is kind of what I felt.
The ultimate offer, take a shortened cruise, a refund, or a credit for a future trip. They chose to try again in March 2020, not knowing that a different storm would be brewing. The coronavirus began to strike passengers on ships like the Grand Princess, leaving people stranded for days.
With this pandemic, those close quarters, the whole people, everybody on the ship getting sick. No.
We all sent emails stating that we would like our money back.
That was a year ago. Royal Caribbean refused to grant a refund, only another voucher, because they used a credit to book that second cruise. All total, the company is holding on to an estimated $10,000 from the family.
There's been several things over the past year I could have used that money for.
Bills and schooling and food.
With the pandemic, there was a few people who lost their jobs.
Hoping to say bon voyage to this family headache, since setting sail on a third cruise isn't even an option right now.
That third burst of bad luck, Royal Caribbean isn't budging on its no refund policy.
Thank you, Lauren. And once again, we want to turn to Professor Fraud. We were just talking about this, but you said there's a growing scam involving pets?
Yes, especially dogs. Sometimes it's specifically purebred dogs. As we know, with this pandemic, a lot of people have been adopting pets, and many of the shelters have emptied out, which is a great thing. And so people are turning to the internet to find some little furry creature to bring into their homes. Well, what some of our scammer friends are doing is posting stock photos of good-looking puppies and saying they've got this puppy for sale. But of course, they'll come up with some reason why you can't come and see the dog face to face, and they'll charge you a down payment and then maybe transportation fees. And after you've lost maybe several $1,000s, there is no dog and they've disappeared from the internet. Best way to fight this kind of fraud is use the Google image search. Take that photo of that puppy, put it up on the internet, do that Google image search, and you'll sadly might find that that picture was on some other post, maybe in a dog food ad, and that's where it's really coming from. There is no dog available for you. Second best thing, go down to the Anti-Cruelty Society or to a pet shelter. There's still some wonderful animals down there you can adopt and bring into your home.
Okay, so as we wrap up, I just have to ask you, has Professor Fraud ever lost money to a scam?
Lost money? No. Attempted to be scammed? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Probably my favorite is a scam that you've featured where somebody called me and tried to get me to buy gift cards and read them the numbers. Well, I kept them on the line for almost an hour, muting it, telling them I was going into the store, and then coming out and saying, oh, they didn't have any of those gift cards. I'll try another store, putting on mute, doing it again. Eventually I told them, well, they didn't have any of the gift cards you wanted, so I bought some Red Lobster and Cracker Barrel cards. Will that be okay? I don't want to tell you the words he used against me, but I think if you call yourself Professor Fraud, you're kind of putting a big target on your back.
That's going to do it for us. Hopefully you learned something about protecting your money and keeping it safe, just like a vault.
We've put links with lots of helpful information to assist you with money matters on cbschicago.com. Of course, we'd like to thank the Vault at the Old Post Office for their hospitality.
And you can catch Lauren and me as the Morning Insiders, weekdays on the CBS 2 Morning News. Thanks for joining us.